Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Cinema Chazzy, where, I'm pretty sure you guys know how it works at this point. Cinema Chazzy, it's where Chazzy talks about cinema, movies that I watch, and I come here to freaking annihilate these motorcycle bastards, in the background of my videos, because I hate these guys so much. But basically, it is the segment on this channel where I review and discuss the movies that I watch, and I do a lot of those because I watch a lot of movies. I am a huge cinema buff, and I really I like to watch them. In case you guys are wondering what the hell this is, it's a mirror that I use now, so I can see behind the camera. I can see behind the camera where I'm positioned, if it's still recording, the lighting, this and that. It's a very, very useful tool for me. But anyway, so today's movie is going to be something that I actually covered on my top 10 movies of all time. I made that list, and I wanted to talk about just it here in my channel, Jaws. Okay, the very popular shark movie and the basis for all shark movies that came after it, released in 1975, based on a novel by Peter Benchley in 1974, the year before the movie came out, and it actually is one of the most successful movies of all time because it had a budget of $9 million and actually grossed $472 million. So just a little successful, just a little successful there. But very good movie. I like it a lot, even though it does. It's the kind of movie that ages well, but at the same time doesn't, because the first time people saw it back in the 70s, they were definitely afraid to go in the water. They definitely didn't want to go to the beach, They had a very strong impression back then. But the story basically goes that a giant, literally a giant, I think maybe a 25 to 30 foot long great white shark goes around, killing people and eating them because it's bloodthirsty, and a police officer, a marine biologist, and a fisherman, they join forces to go and try to capture the shark and kill, not in that order, kill and capture, but because the movie goes on to show the shark making meals out of people, at random, even kids, it doesn't distinguish, it just wants to kill and eat, and they do kind of establish the problem because it happens in the city of Amityville, which is actually very small, and they depend on the beaches for the summer tourism. So if they close the beaches because of a shark, then the town's economy is gonna plummet, so of course the mayor, the people in charge, they decided to keep the beaches open despite there being a shark there who's killing people, and the thing is that the movie itself was really known for a few things, and it was directed by Steven Spielberg, who's one of my favorite directors of all time, in case you guys don't know. And they actually used a mechanical shark for some of the scenes, but it just kept malfunctioning because, come on, you have a mechanical robotic shark in the water, there are bound to be some problems. Robots aren't waterproof as far as I know, so there were a few issues. So because during the filming the shark just kept malfunctioning, Spielberg used this technique where he would not even show the shark, because of the soundtrack by John Williams, which is actually brilliant, he would use that and he would film certain scenes in a way to suggest the presence of the shark, the shark was there, you knew that it was there based on the other visual and audio cues, but you would never actually see the shark in full, which is actually very well, it was a very good technique for building suspense, very, very useful because hell, it made a lot of it made me feel a lot of suspense. I got really scared when I was watching it as a kid, even as an adult it still is a little creepy, and definitely one of the best movies I've ever seen, because of this. And eventually they do show the shark. It looks a little cheesy, it did not age very well. But at the same time, you're in the mid 70s, man. You had to work with what you had. And Spielberg, 20 years later, would direct Jurassic Park, with the use of animatronics and also CGI. So if he had CGI back in Jaws, definitely would have looked much different. There were a few scenes that were shot with the real great white, which you kind of, that's where it gets a little cheesy, but still, despite the small fatal flaws that aren't really that fatal after all, the movie is still freaking amazing in my opinion.
There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything.
So the movie itself went on to become the prototypical summer blockbuster, and it won a lot of awards, in different categories, for sound and visual style and this and that, and it was actually the highest grossing film of all time until 2 years later, a certain thing called Star Wars came out in '77, and it actually beat out Jaws for that spot there. But still, this movie was very influential. It was followed by 3 sequels, which all sucked. You know, I mean, geez, man, the movie's like, it's the kind of thing where like sequels are sometimes a good idea, but back in like the 70s and 80s, you know, sequels were so rampant, you know, they saw the success of movies, especially horror movies, and they would just make sequel after sequel after sequel, and I'm gonna sneeze. God, they would make sequel after sequel after sequel, you know, and Jaws 2, well, you know what, it was actually kind of okay because they did take a lot of the same characters, you know, they brought back Sheriff Brody, you know, so it was actually pretty okay. Not the worst sequel in the world, you know, but I mean, when you have a movie like Jaws and you have a shark there becoming the main antagonist, I mean, just making another shark come out of nowhere is just a little bit dumb, you know, but still. The third movie, Jaws 3D, I don't even want to acknowledge that movie's existence, you know. Dennis Quaid's worst work, in my opinion, you know. And then there was Jaws the Revenge, which was so crappy. I could probably make a video just talking about this, man. But oh my god, that movie sucked. You know, the visual effects and the very obvious, you know, small budget, you know. They pretty much took the Jaws mythology and just rammed it into the ground, you know. It freaking sucked. But there were a lot of other movies who copied it, you know, for obvious reasons, you know. And the movie was actually very pivotal in establishing the Hollywood business model, you know, how they made movies from then on, you know, and also a lot of really, you know, high box office returns and whatnot. And it was actually, in 2001, it was selected by the Library of Congress for Preservation of the United States National Film Registry, you know, deemed as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, you know. One of the best movies of all time, no doubt, you know. I don't even, like, there's no way you can even argue, you know. It's 124 minutes of pure, you know, terror, you know. But of course, it does have it had a much bigger effect back in the day. You know, you watch a movie like Jaws today, me being the kind of person who I am, I love movies, I love watching them, but I also love analyzing them. I have a segment on my YouTube channel where I review them, you know, so, and also movies like, channels like Cinema Sins, who actually did a video about Jaws some time ago, where he takes all of the things that are wrong with the movie and overanalyzes them to the point of it being comical, but he does have a lot of really good points, you know, he really does know his movies. So, like, I look at the movie and certain aspects of it didn't really age too well, like the shark itself, but still, I think it was very good in the sense that it captured what it's like to be in this kind of situation with a killer shark swimming around, you know. And there are certain scenes that do so well with the suspense, like the scene where they're on the boat, you know, and then Quint, the fisherman, he throws out the line, you know, and then you feel the tension there. You don't see the shark, but there's a little bit of the minimalist theme starts to play, the music, you know, and then you see the line moving ever so slightly, and only Quint notices it at first. You know, you see him getting ready because he knows that something is pulling on the line, you know, and it's gotta be the shark. So the movie sets up suspense so brilliantly, man. I could watch this movie 10 times a day and not get bored of it, you know, because the tension is amazing. The suspense is unlike any other. You gotta give it to Spielberg, man. This guy was ahead of his time even back in the 70s, you know. So to me, this scene was probably the best in the entire movie, you know, and it's because it didn't show the shark. When the shark finally shows up, you know, things really do get tense, but to me, the best scenes are when you don't see the shark because you know it's there. You know it's there, you know, but you don't even have to see it to know it's there. The presence is made known at that moment, you know. So to me, it's an amazing piece of cinematic brilliance. Now, talking about the cast, you know, I think everybody was really well put into their roles, you know, and of course, Roy Schneider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw became like household names, you know, and I mean, it's, you know, man, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy because, I mean, you don't really see these guys, you didn't really see them in any other movies back in the day, and when you did, I mean, it kind of sucked because the effect of Jaws was so strong, and Robert Shaw was actually the guy who played Quint, you know, he was actually an esteemed actor, you know, he did so many more works from back in the day before Jaws, you know, I think a little bit afterwards, you know, but still, Jaws was, of course, the quintessential role for him and anybody else involved, you know. We associate, like, I look at Roy Schneider and I will forever see Sheriff Brody, you know, like always, you know, Martin Brody, no matter what. And I see Richard Dreyfuss, who actually has gone on to have a pretty successful career, you know, I think even more so than both of them, the other two, but still, I look at him and I will always see Hooper, you know, I will always see the marine biologist who went toe-to-toe with the great white shark, or tried to, you know, and The book is actually very different from the movie. There are many differences, you know, namely that I think like everyone dies except for Brody, you know. I think everybody or maybe it's just Hooper, you know, the marine biologist, you know. I think just him. I think it's just him. Let me pull up these guys' first names here, because I can't with this. I gotta know their full names here. Okay, so the cast, their actual full names is where's the damn cast, man? Okay, we have, okay, Martin Brody, the sheriff, marine biologist. Okay, but what's his name, for crying out loud? You guys cannot, there's no cast thing? Really? You gotta be kidding me. Dude, there's no cast. Oh, here we go. Quint, okay, Matt Hooper is the character played by Richard Dreyfuss, you know. And in the book, there are a few differences, because namely it's a real shark. It's not the one that we see in the movie, you know. And the end sequence, of course, where the shark blows up in the movie, in the actual book, it just dies of natural causes, because it was so heavily, I think it was harpooned and shot and scratched, you know. It suffered so much collateral physical damage, you know, that it's swimming towards one of the characters, and then it just stops swimming and sinks, you know. It dies naturally because it is just a shark, you know. It's not like a freaking supernatural monster. And in the movie, because it's Hollywood, you know, they wanted to do something a little better, you know, so they the end sequence is amazing. After the shark kills and eats Quint, you know, there is a scene where now it's really crazy. It's actually crazy because the boat is sinking, you know, the Orca, I believe it's called, you know, and now Martin has to try to go toe to toe with the shark, was after him. And then in one of the most famous sequences in the movie history, you know, he gets up on top of the antenna of the boat, if that's what it's called, you know, the crow's nest or whatever, you know, and then it starts to sink, you know, with his weight, and then you see the shark far away coming at him, but with a gas tank in its mouth, you know, because he threw it in there. I think it was a scuba tank, you know. He threw it into its mouth, you know, and then the shark swims at him, and then he takes a gun and starts shooting at the tank, you know, trying to blow up the shark, you know, and he keeps saying, blow up, blow up, blow up, and then he keeps shooting, and then eventually one of the most famous lines ever, smile, you son of a pow. Then he shoots it and it explodes in a fiery explosion of blood and guts and fire, man. Really cool, you know. His little maniacal laughter at the end there, as we see the shark's bits, you know, falling to the sea, and the what remains of the shark itself sinking into the water, you know. Amazing sequence there. One of the best endings ever, man. I don't even care. If you don't agree with me, go screw yourself. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. This is a hashtag Chazzy fact up in here, man. One of the best endings in any movie in cinematic history right here, man. You know, it's so good. God, I love that sequence so much. And of course, it has been parodied so many times in other movies, you know, but of course, none of them will ever have the same effect as in Jaws, man. You just, no shark movie can hold a candle to Jaws. Me, for example, I really love The Meg, the movie about the giant shark with Jason Statham. I loved it so much, but it's not the same, man. Even though CGI made the movie look much better, it is not the same. You can't hold a toe to Jaws, man. No shark movie can. Many have tried, all have failed.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. That's a 20-footer.
25. 3 tons of them.
Hurry up, he's coming straight for us. Don't screw it up now.
Don't wait for me! Now! Shoot!
Okay, so now here's the thing, guys. I do believe that every single element of the movie was of pristine quality, at least in the mid-70s standards, you know. Steven Spielberg really worked with what he had, you know. He embraced the concept of doing what you can with what you have, with where you are, you know, where you are. So I still think it was really nice. And the shark that he made was nicknamed Bruce, you know, the mechanical shark that he made, which was actually recycled and used in the other sequels, you know, but they all suck. So if you have never seen a Jaws sequel, don't even bother. Like, seriously, don't. Like, oh my god, man. Like, if you have to watch one, watch the second one, because it is a direct continuation, still with some of the same characters. No, we still had Martin Brody, you know, and spoiler alert, he kills another shark, you know, at the end. So, but it's just crappy. It's crappy, you know. It's not too good. I mean, it's not one of the worst sequels in the world, but it still kind of sucks. I didn't really like it too much. But the point is, guys, I mean, when it comes to shark movies, none can do it better than Jaws, you know. Amazing soundtrack by John Robin Williams. We associate the Jaws theme with anything happening now. Like, it's been parodied to death so many times and been resurrected and parodied to death again. You know, it's been parodied in the afterlife because there's a SpongeBob episode where they're in the sea, you know, and then instead of a giant shark, it's a giant clam, and then the theme song is used to it to show the clam's rival, you know. So it's been parodied so many times, and we can associate the soundtrack now with the shark itself, you know. One of the reasons why when I was a kid I used to be terrified of the ocean, you know, living in the United States. But yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I think it's a movie that everything was just perfectly good. The storytelling elements were amazing, you know. Right from the get-go, the very first scene, you know, there's a girl who's being attacked and dragged underwater by something that we can't see, you know. So yeah, then there's a whole mystery. Then they see a carcass of an animal. So, and people start to die eventually before they find out that it's a shark. They dive underwater at some point too. The characters and find a tooth, you know. So there are a lot of different elements here in the storytelling department, and I think it's really awesome, you know. Very good movie, amazing. It's perfect, man. If I could give it a rating, I mean, come on, are you kidding me? 10 out of 10 all the way, dude. You know, you can't even argue with that, you know. It's all good. Perfect freaking movie. I love it so much, and I will continue to love it until the day I die. Smacking my little mirror here on my my hand here thing. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for today. I think that's all I wanted to say, you know. And the movie painted sharks in a very bad light, but I'm gonna talk about that in my next video. Get a little teaser for that, you know. And yeah, not every shark is a bloodthirsty girl like the one in the movie Jaws. Okay, it's all good. Should go without saying. But anyway, if you guys happen to like this video, then please give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day talking about a bunch of different stuff, you know. Hit the notification button to know exactly what time I release them because I upload at completely random times a day. Usually it's multiple videos per day, you know, but the point is that I release content every single day, okay, whenever I can. So it's all good, guys. This is Chazzy signing out for now. Stay out of the water, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.